Hello and good afternoon. Today is Thursday. I think it's the 17th, St. Patty's Day. We don't have green on. Do you? Oh, Aleta does. I don't think we're having any parties now, but maybe this afternoon. My name is Scott Forcino, an associate broker with eXp Realty out of New York City in the metro area. I have here with me Aleta Reynolds, also of eXp, and she's going to give us some really high level sophisticated knowledge on two really hot trends which are overtaking the industry, and Aleta is really the professional to bring them about. So Aleta, would you say good afternoon and hello to our viewers?
Hello, good afternoon. Thanks for joining. I always
Yes.
I love these two topics. I'm so excited for you to have me on.
What are those topics? Tell us a little bit about, how we're going to go from one to the next and how you bring them to the market.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'm mostly known for my specialty with ISA services and coaching ISAs and letting you know which CRMs and data sources and dialers and whatnot are the most effective to get you the highest contact rate and conversion. And, I would say that that's what most people know me as, whether it's recruiting for a lunch and learn or trying to stack your sellers agents or buyers agents calendars. You're typically referred to me that way. And just recently in the past 6 months, I've been known for real estate tokenization to assist our agents and community. And, how do we sell homes with cryptocurrency? What's the difference between tokenizing them and selling them as an NFT? And my partnership with Terramin has allowed me to have a, pretty big voice on bringing awareness and helping real estate agents help more of our buyers and sellers.
Mm-hmm. Well, let's go one by one. You say ISA. What does that stand for?
Inside Sales Associate. So they're the person that's in the trenches making all the calls. They, if you have a CRM, let's say you have KV Core, like eXp gives us KV Core. So I always recommend get the CRM that comes with your brokerage, right? And if your brokerage doesn't give you a CRM, go to eXp under one of us and we'll help you out. No. You can get, Commissions Inc. Commissions Inc. is one of my favorites. Steve over there, and I know Fidelity Title had owned that with them. They're great. They have some of the best data, some of the best systems. And, they have a lot of systems in place that protect you. Like we're talking about before the show, the do not call list. What are the dialing regulations? Who can you call? Who can't you call? And when we have real estate agents that are mindful of the rules and laws, like my call center is, I understand them and I can help you through it. Having a CRM that babysits that for you is invaluable. So, but there's Sierra Interactive. Josh Jakowski, he created a great platform. Some of his sequences and the way that he sorts his data and his campaigns are some of the best I've ever seen. Then there's Chime, Follow Up Boss. There's quite a few really good CRMs out there. And then we go to lead sources, but a lot of people, when they want an ISA, what they're really saying is they want more opportunities to help people buy and sell property. And
so essentially, your company would, I should say, outsource prospecting.
Yep. Yeah. So I have all my ISAs that work for me, work for my company. And I have a 60, we just hired 12 and they're in training right now. And I don't know if they're going to go to be internal ISAs for teams nationally or if they're going to stay with us. But right now I have 60 or so ISAs that dial for dollars nationally for our paying clients.
And what has been the reaction from these homeowners, expires? What categories of people are there?
Yeah, so we dial Vulcan 7 expires for the most part. It's one of my preferred platforms. Ren Jones over there, he created Vulcan 7 about a decade ago, I think. And it's really just fate that he created the best data and I created what I feel like is the best ISA call center. And he was my first real estate coach when I got into real estate, 17 years ago. So it's pretty fantastic. I got to meet him in person for the first time 7 years ago at the Keller Williams Family Reunion down in the vendor hall. I had a little vendor booth at Maps Coaching, and it was back in the day. It was pretty cool. But yeah, it expires, canceled, FSBOs for my owner, GeoFarm, geofarming right now, circle prospecting, is great. It's absolutely great right now. Getting to the seller before they get online is a really strategic way to build your database and get a relationship with the seller before they bond with someone else. So an agent in America would
reach out to you and retain your services, and then what's the next step? They're given I guess a spreadsheet of people that they can reach. Are those appointments set? What's next?
Yeah, so somebody reaches out to us through the website or through one of my social media platforms. They get a call with my general manager to discuss what package would be right for them. We go over how many agents they're trying to feed. We go over their lead sources and their CRM. They bring their leads to us, and then we sit down and dial in their platform. So we know all of the main CRMs, and at this point, if we don't know specifically your CRM, they're all pretty much the same. We just go through a learning tutorial, and that way we can work within your CRM. And that's one of the things that I've done uniquely different for the past 7 years, is that I never ask the agent or team to take their data from their system and give it to me. We always sit down and dial in. So, but yeah, we decide on a package that are by time. My smallest package is 20 hours a week. My largest package is 12 hours a day, 7 days a week, and you can add on another 12-hour shift 7 days a week from there. So, it really just depends on how many appointments you can take.
So the agent the agent gets the information, then follows up with their sales proposition or the offer they have for them.
Yeah, so we create them a file within Basecamp. It's my project management system. I use Basecamp, and then I also use LastPass. So all of their passwords and login information is stored in our company-owned LastPass. So at any time, we can change a password or secure their account again and give it back to them. But basically, they give us their information. It's put on our dialing calendar. We dial in the morning, evening, and weekend, and we dial on behalf of them. So, it'd be, hi, is this Susan? Yes, it is. Great. My name's Aleta. I'm calling on behalf of Scott Forcino with eXp Real Estate. We saw that you had your home up for sale by owner, and we'd love to introduce us and let you know how Scott's helping homeowners like yourself sell their home, quickly, with the least amount of stress possible, and go into our script there. And the rest of the script has to do with the 5-point qualifying points that I encourage every script to have, but then also what your value proposition is. So you, as a real estate agent, you have a very distinctly different value proposition than any other realtor out there. And part of your onboarding is customizing your scripts so that we can introduce you and present your value proposition and why you're the best person to hire during that phone call. Then we set the appointment. We put it on your calendar. Everybody gets a Calendly link. It's a free calendar scheduling system. We pull up your Calendly link, and we can see where to put the appointment based on what's open on your calendar. We set the appointment. We send you the notes, and then typically one of our lead ISAs follows up with you to see how the appointment went from there.
And inevitably, when you're met with resistance and hangups and yelling and cursing, what happens there?
We're used to it. We typically just say, all right, it takes 50 no's to get to 5 yeses, and we just keep dialing.
I see. That's interesting. There is a view or perspective in agents that I never cold call, and I'm all referral only, and I'm the boss of the town. Where there is a perspective that thinks that cold calling is dead. Is that true?
Yeah. No, I mean, we set appointments all the time. We just for example, I posted this on my Facebook, and it's just one of many. It was an exciting time because, we had taken over a Vulcan 7 account that they had tried to hire an ISA before several times, and those ISAs had failed. And they gave it to us, and we set 2 in-person listing appointments and several nurtures, and, was able to get him on his way. And I got a text from him this morning that now he wants us to circle prospect around that listing and see if there are any other homeowners that, want to put a sign in the ground that he can help, today or in the future. So cold calling is absolutely not dead. I say that there's, things to be mindful of, mostly the do not call list, and just being mindful of that and utilizing text message, utilizing email in a professional way. My belief is that most of us get those limiting beliefs in our mind, and we just stay away from it altogether because one person had one bad conversation. They never push through it and get that success story. On the flip side of it, we have people that do it at such an extreme level that it does mirror harassment. When you are cold calling and dialing the same people day after day after day, you never refresh your data, and you're harassing them, not getting results, that has a negative impact on your community. And I, for one, don't support that. So cold calling done professionally in a responsible way is one of the best ways to get in touch with people.
It's given a bad name, cold calling. It's really, it's an outreach. And the fact is, these people are not shoppers in a mall. They're homeowners and they're actively looking for buyers. So I never really was on board with the for sale by owner on Zillow being a victim. You want a buyer, we have the buyers, plus the fact that respectfully, these are complicated legal and sophisticated financial transactions. You're a surgeon, you're a dentist, you are a landscaper. We can't do those jobs. Why do you think you can navigate the forms and the negotiation? Even people could have never negotiated in their lives. They get a job, they go to school, and they go out to dinner. They never handled anything of a business such as this with high stakes. So I never really bought that they were the victim status and they're getting abused.
No, I don't think so. I think that even when we're calling for sell by owners and we have a pivot script, and all of my ISAs that dial for sell by owners are trained on a pivot script. So even though they are branded to you and calling on behalf of you when it's your data, we can call them on behalf of needing help selling their home. But then the other open-ended questions, the pivot there is, where are you going to go when this home sells? They need a new home. Okay, great. Well, at the very least, let's go ahead and help you find your new home while you're busy selling your home. I know that's a full-time job because that's what I do. And then and then as you find them a home that you want to buy, naturally you're going to help them sell their home.
When you say find them a home, does that mean send them links? I mean, is it active? Do they have an opportunity to meet with a realtor, or what are you providing information or really connecting?
Yeah, so we set them an in-person appointment to not only tour their home in case we have a qualified buyer, but then also to set up the appointment for them to look at homes that are currently on the market and get to know them. Also say, hey, let's make sure your home's priced right. If they are adamant that they absolutely do not want to hire a real estate agent and they've sold homes for sale by owner before, and that's their stance, I mean, psychologically speaking, these are do-it-yourselfers. They feel really good at accomplishing a task that people don't think they can do. And it becomes more of a challenge. And the more real estate agents that call them saying, well, you're not going to be able to do it, you should hire me, the more confidence they get to do it. And it's almost like, they're going to chop off their own leg to save face.
Yes, but I have a lot of experience with for sale by owners, both as a lawyer and a broker. And no matter what they say, they could have sold 9 homes. The problem is they don't know the strangers that are entering their home. They don't get ID. They have no idea at that moment, because they give everyone a free bite. They don't know if the guy has a job. They don't know if they are selling their home, who are the buyers of those homes. They don't, and unfortunately, there's people that see where your kids sleep and they learn if you have an alarm.
Yeah. One of the scariest things, even if you talk to the local police, hosting open houses, advertising that nobody's home, nobody lives here, or this is when this house is going to be empty, come see it, is one of the scariest things you could do. And also putting yourself for sale by owner and just allowing anybody in. If you don't at least have the benchmarks of protection of, we want to see a pre-approval letter. We want you to text us your driver's license. We want to call and check your record.
They don't
do that. And
they're so hell bent. They're so hell bent. And I mean, look, what percentage of for sale by owners list with an agent? Would you say? It's upwards of 90. It's upwards of 90. It might be upwards of 95. And that doesn't even contemplate how much the mortgage market has moved, where we're all learning. Realtors are second to learn the information after our brothers and sisters in the lending side. But I mean, if we don't know this and our ears are to the ground every day, how is someone going to just put a sign in and a neighbor? It's really crazy, to be honest.
It is. It is. And I used to love, back when I was listing and representing people on my own before I started my call center, I loved calling FSBOs that were above the 450 price point, because in my area, those are the ones that sat. It's a different qualification for a different loan. And it's also the targeted price point for people that try to steal from you. They're people that have valuables in their home, and they're really great move up buyers. And so I would call them just naturally, hey, it looks like you want to, sell your home, and what are your plans? Have you had very many offers? Have you had very many people come through? And most of the time they have tons of people come through. I said, great, anybody pre-approved? Oh, well, I didn't ask that. Oh, okay, no problem. And at one point I was hosting open houses at the for sale by owner place, and I would just say, hey, I'll represent the buyers that come through, but can I hold an open house? And I'll be your, gatekeeper, so to speak. And they loved it. And I loved working with them. And I got a lot of great clients, and I sold a lot of houses doing that. But once you say, great, how many of your buyers were pre-approved, and they're like, well, we don't know. You're not making sure they're pre-approved before you see your home for $800,000? Really? And
well,
obviously I don't say it like that.
No, but the seller has no way to look if it's some rocket mortgage printed off your phone or anything else. But there's two parts of that. One, I don't know about the whole nation, but around here, the sophisticated listing agents know, and this is a bit prejudicial, something that comes from Wells or Citibank or Chase, it's not to be considered as it would be someone local with the local appraisals and the underwriting that's more familiar with this area. I mean, I'm in Westchester County. What happens here does not happen in Nassau County. And that's got to be true from San Francisco to Los Angeles. So that's the first thing. There's a real discernment over those type of big box places because they have a ton of steps. They give you pre-approval subject to everything. One, and it's even a micro market here in lower New York, lower Connecticut, and northern New Jersey. There's lawyers. So people think, and I've heard this many, many times, oh, my lawyer will do that. And the lawyer is getting a certain sum of money, definitely less than the realtor. And their function, because it was my function, was never to get into the deal or even negotiate. This is the deal, and I'll represent your interests. It is not. People mistakenly think their lawyer is going to take on the role of their realtor. It's just not true. It can't happen.
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't think that they understand fully how to even get through the steps of accepting an offer, a home inspection, moving. There's a lot more fraudulent activity out there with for sale by owners than there is honest activity, unfortunately. And they really just don't know. And when you call them when they're brand new as for sale by owners, and they say, check back with me next week. If I don't sell it in 2 weeks, you can have the listing. Great. And we do, and we follow up with them, and my ISAs follow up with them and set solid listing appointments for sale by owners that at this point are just fried and they don't want to do it anymore. And then they have more respect for realtor.
No, that's right. They start, everyone starts, and then they quit because it's frantic. And my friend said once I had to get out of the pool with my kids to go show a house, I was done. That was a great one. But someone says to me, I have a lot of buyers. I said, in this market, of course you have a lot of buyers, but do you have the right buyer? Because that's the difference. People
Absolutely.
are jumping all, that's the point.
Yep.
So, I mean,
I'm going to be doing role play with my ISAs, and one of my lead ISAs was going back through some of my old training videos, and she said, hey, I really like this script of you talking to a for sale by owner who had already bought another home, and they were driving 2 hours to show their old home when they had moved to their new home. And I said, how are you balancing that? How are you balancing the showings? Do you just have a key under the doormat? And I had explained to the for sale by owner that our agent client is local there. They're 10 minutes from there. And your purchase price is this. And if they charge X commission, right? Because I can't tell them what they're going to charge, you would be paying this. Have you done your gas for driving 4 hours in a round trip to show a house to a buyer that may not be pre-approved? And how many more trips are you going to have to make for the home inspection and the walkthrough and everything else? And we set that appointment. The buyer's agent did a virtual listing appointment, got the sign in the ground, and that homeowner didn't have to go back out there. I mean, just having that conversation of talking to them.
And not only that, I mean, what you're having is a conversation that is appropriate for a real estate market. We are in a completely different market now because now you're over asking every deal is multiple offers. And another thing is, if there should never be a chance for sell by owner, even probably seeking, I should say, going to sell it themselves, because the appreciation was monopoly money. If things went up 25%, why wouldn't you? I know there's the concept of greed. However, why wouldn't you use the money that you did not work for to get professional representation? I could see if it was, when I started in 97, I was telling people to bring money to the closing. And I mean, I did the math and I said, wait, there's not enough money. And they were bringing 30 and 40,000 to the closing in those days, 1997.
Wow.
And that's, I was disappointing people constantly. They just sell their house, had to come out from underwater. Now that's the complete opposite. And there's a lot of equity and I remind people, you didn't work for this money. You didn't save it. It is tax-free if you're married, up to $500,000. Why not? You're paying for everything else. A mover, a painter. This is the most important one.
Yep. Yep. Well, and I think those are the high-level conversations that real estate agents that haven't had that coaching and training or even that support, and they're not with the EXP brokerage. They're not with us. They don't know what we know. They don't have all the free training accessible, or the high-level negotiations available to them, just as their upline and downline, right? And they're going into these situations not even knowing what to say. They quite literally don't know what they don't know. And like you had mentioned one other time while we were on interviews together, we are the only industry that accumulates people that have no experience with a license and say, go out and do our job. Pretend that, fake it till you make it. Pretend you're one of us. Just go out there. It's easy. It's not easy. And you have to be able to have those conversations with the homeowners.
And that's why people even consider for sale by owner. That's what I think what you're doing. The ISA, I think the professional agents, brokers and salespeople want to do the job, but they don't want to have the hard conversations with people who hang up on them.
No, they don't. And really, you want that leverage. I mean, for us to set you with our smallest package, right? The 20 hours a week, we can set you 4 to 6 appointments a week. I would bet, any amount of money on that with the right data. I can put a clock to it. I know the talent of my ISAs. I know the capabilities of the data, and I stand by it. But for you to dial 20 hours a week to get 4 to 6 appointments, how is that going to set you back in your business? Taking 20 hours a week. Now, a lot of us are full-time parents. Imagine that window that you have when you take them to school and pick them up from school, and now do your own dialing and now service those 4 to 6 appointments. It doesn't pencil out.
And your actual work.
In your actual work. So for you as the professional doing your own dialing, when you can hire out the leverage, and you still have to go in there and have the high level conversation. But if I just said, hey, Scott, here are the 6 people that you need to talk to this week, and you'll convert 2 of them, even on a bad day, right? And then you'll end up with 8 more closings a month, and you didn't have to spend that 20 hours a week getting hung up on, having the hard conversations, finding the right people to answer the phone, and time blocking for it. You could be doing other things for your business, like preparing to having 8 more listings.
Right. These deals now, the seller loves what's going on here. There's a lot of competition in their property, but what's not mentioned is the listing agents have much more work now to do to sift through the offers, to be responsible for the showings. There's a lot more to do. Yes, it's easier to get a buyer, but now you really have to do your work to make sure that you're serving your client, and you don't want to stick someone with a bad transaction. This is not the time. There's a huge opportunity to pick the right buyer because you have so many.
It really is, and homeowners are demanding a professional level of service. They're looking at agreements that aren't going to trap them, and they're looking for a high level of professional service. Not to mention the stress, the amount of stress that we are going through as a community. Like you're a real estate agent, but you also have a family. You're also a member of your community. You also go through the stress that your community goes through. coming out of a pandemic or going through all the things and all the changes and all of, the overstimulation and things with the schools and people getting sick and all the new rules, you're stressed, you're overstimulated. Now go to a homeowner that wants to hire you, they have the same stress, only now they have to move. I mean, they are maxed out. They want somebody to take care of them, and they want somebody they can trust. And if you're spread too thin as a professional, it's really hard for you to be there how you need to be there as a real estate agent. But we also,
and ironically, what's the quickest thing to go when you're overburdened and getting burned out? I mean, to me, the first thing to go would be answer your phone. I'm on the phone. I'm on the interview right now. My phone's ringing. I can't answer it. So that means they stack up, and there's nothing that's going to dissatisfy a client more than not answering your calls and not calling them back. That's what it is, because they already have an impression that all agents are the same. So what can you do to be better? So as you say, the stress, you're in that case, what you're really standing for is professionally serve the client with your advocacy and allow for the other professional ISAs to line up people who are interested in your services. Why do both?
Exactly. Well, and the other factor too is that we dial nights and weekends along with mornings. But we set some of our highest quality appointments in nights and weekends, and that is close to impossible for the real estate agent to work a full day and complete their dials. You get a massive roller coaster in business. It's impossible. Well, and then when we had first joined on and you had said, what about someone that says they're just a referral agent or they don't need to cold call, they don't need to be a part of that? Well, at some point you have to replenish the well. At some point you're going to exhaust your friends and family, and you need to meet new people. Even some of the top producing referral agents, they've hired us to stack their pipeline of nurtures of more people that they can drip on to earn their business. And nowadays it's so transient that you're a referral agent when you have enough advertising to bring people to you, and they're still calling themselves referral agents. But really, I mean, how many people do we really know to sustain massive growth to only work your sphere? You have to replenish your pipeline. Even the best in the business need to have some sort of marketing or some sort of net out there to attract people to their business. Right. And by initiating a cold call, by doing geo farming in your area that you work and saying, hey, we're the specialist in the area. We are who you should hire. You've probably seen our signs in the ground. What are your plans to buy and sell real estate in the next 6 months to a year? And having that conversation with them, even if they're not ready today, we sort them in your database. We apply a long-term campaign and you drip on them. You're sending them your monthly or quarterly newsletter. You're sending them your Christmas card. You don't even know who they are, and they're getting high quality contact information from you because you hired an ISA to dial your town. And
right. So besides the utility and the efficiency of having someone perform those tasks that you may not, on an individual anecdotal level, where you had a closing, people hug and kiss you, you are doing a good job, you're high. Do you want to take that high and get on the phone and get yelled at? I mean, it just, to me, it never was compatible, where you perform your services professionally and as appreciation, and then the person thinks you're zero. And how do you sustain that?
Yeah. And you are exactly right. And there's so much that goes into mindset. There's so much that goes into being at the top of your game and not changing hats 12 times a day and not having your energy levels affected by somebody that doesn't know you. It takes a lot to sustain that energy. And when you have to go out to a closing or go out to your clients or go out to your appointments, it's really hard for even the most seasoned, professional to shake it off every single day and deal with family stress and life stress and human stress. Your best, and have that superior mindset at an appointment. It's almost impossible.
And when you say seasoned, to me, that means that you're experienced in your professional career, or what you're doing, whether it's medical or financial or electrician or plumber. you're good at what you do, but I don't think you could season a mindset getting up and down all day. I remember a story with some top athletes, and they were just seen as really, really surly and mean to the media, and they're great ball players and making millions of dollars. The guy goes, "What's your problem? You know, you're a superstar and you're very, very wealthy." He goes, "You don't know my wife." So you does take it on the field. He's had a problem at home and he's losing his mind. And that's true of everyone.
It is. It is. And the real estate agents that are really good at what they do, they tend to carry their emotions everywhere with them. And they're very strong personalities. And when you go to an appointment complaining about something that just happened, think of that. Oh, I just got off the worst phone call, but how can I help you? I mean, they almost can't help themselves. And we all know when we talk about it, oh, that's the last thing you want to do.
Sure.
You don't bring drama into them. Don't bring your negativity into them. You know, and I mean, there's a whole mindset training on that where it's like, did you check your mindset at the door? Or did you bring your relationship problems and your morning into your afternoon and cause an impact?
That's why you have to take as many of those ministerial tasks and important outreach. That's why I believe strongly in the ISA model, and that's really powerful. So, Aleta, let's move towards your financial opportunity and enlightenment and education of our real estate community, maybe the larger community of how crypto, which is all the rage, can be implemented into the real estate process.
Yeah, you know what? It is. We are at one of the best times in our lives with real estate and the future. And I truly believe that we are sitting here at a time that somebody can take a cryptocurrency and purchase a piece of real estate with that cryptocurrency. They can take their investment, buy real estate, own the real estate, and the owner, if it's done properly, if they utilize Terramint, and they can transition the currency into a form of currency that the owner can use. Let's say that they don't need Bitcoin, right? They need cash. They need American currency. We're able to do that. We're able to turn our real estate into NFTs. We're able to tokenize our real estate investments and turn it into a cash flowing securities token. And it is tremendous, the opportunity that we can do utilizing cryptocurrencies, utilizing the blockchain, and having worldwide access is it's out of this world.
Well, let's go over a few definitions. I mean, you say, I want to know what tokenization means. I want to know what NFTs means. I want to know where that central nervous system, I think that's blockchain. Give us some of those lower level definitions, would you please?
Yeah, absolutely. So I was brought into Terramint about a year ago, and Terramint is a real estate tokenization platform. We're completely DeFi, so we're decentralized finance, which means that any real estate owner can come to our platform and list their property for sale to a buyer that wants to buy it in a cryptocurrency, and they can list their cryptocurrencies that they accept or just cash, but we can do the bridgeway for them. If they want to turn their piece of real estate into an NFT, or they can tokenize it. The power to tokenizing a piece of real estate is that it's essentially fractionalized real estate. We take a token, which would be considered a share. We back it by a security, by a Reg D security. We give an ROI back to the investor with a 5-year buyback, or really whatever the homeowner wants or the property owner wants to do with arranging their contract with the token holder. And we tokenize it into 100,000 tokens on the Ethereum blockchain. And anybody around the world, up to 35 unaccredited investors, and the rest of it can be accredited investors, can buy into their asset-backed tokens. They can take the liquidity, pay off liens, loans, debts, refurbish their property, and have a cash flowing income off of their piece of real estate. And then the token holder of the security token, it works and feels and looks just like a Reg D security. You can take it to a bank and get a loan against it. You can use it as a cash flowing investment and build out a real estate portfolio, and then take that ROI annually and earn an income on your investment. It really opens up the doors to anybody, wanting to invest 5,000 to 50 million or more. into real estate, but not necessarily owning the real estate aspect of it, because they don't have to forfeit. The owner that tokenizes doesn't have to forfeit their ownership in order to do that. But Terramit walks them through that on making that possible. If they wanted to turn their property into an NFT and sell their piece of real estate as an NFT, the power in doing that is that it has all of your home ownership documents on the blockchain, and they own it as an LLC. So they can buy it with a cryptocurrency or with cash, but they're buying an NFT that's housing all of their ownership documents.
What are some examples of, if I'm correct, an NFT is a non-fungible token?
It is, yeah.
And what other what's being bought as NFTs today? What are the main use of NFTs today?
Mostly NFTs are digital art. They're artifacts, they're symbols, they're things of intrinsic value. They're things that you put value to, but they don't necessarily, they're not backed by a real asset. They're not, the NFT itself isn't making a residual income based on an asset like real estate. You know, if you tokenize a piece of real estate and give back your token holders some of your cash flow, some of your earnings, and then you have a buyback program if you want to, right? The person that's investing, giving you back your liquidity, you have the ability to raise capital for your project, for your real estate development, or for your Verbo, right? You can put into guidelines. Tokenization allows you to have multiple owners, and we tokenize them and have them backed by securities. That way we're abiding by the FCC, what could be regulation. It's really the lack of regulation that makes it more complicated. So we go out there and we say, well, if there is regulation, what would they do? And that's where we set up our platform to accommodate what regulation could be. And right now we're thinking that we're helping the FCC put regulation to a DeFi space, making things, you know, to where it's not just the Wild West, you know, to where good people are going to want to invest good money, and it's going to attract more people to, you know, want to be a part of it. But, you know, you're able to tokenize real estate and utilize that as a timeshare. You know, Zillow was to tokenize their entire Verbo portfolio, and in the smart contracts put in things for a timeshare. Oh my gosh, that would be life-changing. Then you just go on to Terra, buy one of their tokens. You take the week at the property that you want. And not only do you have a tokenized asset that's backed by a security that's giving you an ROI, now you have a set week, you know, to use as a timeshare in one of, you know, the Verbos that you'd want to frequent. So there's an entire business model around tokenization that really is.
In that case, that's the what's the secondary market? Could you sell that token to someone else and earn from there?
Yep. So the power of tokenization on the secondary market is really what gets the owners of the real estate, the original tokenizers, you know, really gets them going, because the power of the secondary market giving you basis points every time something is transacted is, you know, life-changing. Now a real estate owner who tokenizes their real estate investment into up to 100,000 tokens could now have 100,000 opportunities of buy, selling, and trading along the blockchain. You know, and even if they do have buyers of their tokens that want them to honor their 5-year buyback, they buy the tokens, resell them to the public, and, you know, they're being traded on a secondary exchange. It's giving them a residual income for life.
So let's just look at, you know, scenario A. An owner sells a house. That's it. That's where we live right now, correct? An owner sells the house. Now an owner can participate in tokenization, pay some form of subscription fee, offer the fractional ownership of their home. People can participate in a possible return on that investment and sell that token to a third party, and the owner and the second party both benefit. Is that right?
Yes.
That's
yep, absolutely. It's all through the platform. So you don't have to call your broker dealer and say, hey, do you think I could sell this? You literally just log on at 8 p.m., 3 a.m., 7 a.m., whenever you want to, and list it for sale. And very similar to any type of, you know, crypto.com, any type of trade station, to where you're listing your token on the Ethereum blockchain. It's an ERC20 token up for sale. And
I was in a session the other day, and a great question was asked, and I learned something from this. So I'm going to hear what you think.
Okay.
Someone's selling a house for $1 million, and the buyer says, "No problem, I'll pay $1 million of Bitcoin." At some point, the Bitcoin is that before the sale is worth $800,000. I wonder if I'm saying this right. Does the seller still expects $1 million American, and the buyer would have to come up with the additional 200,000? Is that correct?
Well, I'm glad that you brought that up, because the reason why Terramint is so unbelievably awesome is that our platform actually stabilizes that Bitcoin at the time of acceptance.
Oh,
so now
is that a stable coin? Is that what would be used? So purchasing homes would be used as a stable coin?
Well, we have a stabilizing account. So they take the Bitcoin, we stabilize the value, and then we pay the seller through escrow, and our trust account to the escrow account. That way, any liens or debts or anything that needs to be satisfied, is there. You're still able to go through title, make sure you're getting a clean title, and all of that mimics and is what we're used to. Once we have more property on the blockchain than not, the way that we utilize title companies now is going to change. But right now, we want a title search. We want to make sure that what we're buying is what we're buying, right? So we still open escrow. So
you're imagining a scenario where the primary transaction happens on the blockchain and it's really verified through the county clerk's office and by the title companies. Is that what you're imagining?
Absolutely, both worlds. So when we facilitate a purchase of real estate with a cryptocurrency, and let's use Bitcoin, because Bitcoin's very volatile. It goes up and down, up and down, up and down. You don't know what you're going to get, right? What the real estate agent wants to do is go to the seller and say, do you want to be paid in Bitcoin or do you want to be paid in US currency? How do you want to be paid, right? And if they just want to do Bitcoin to Bitcoin, they're going to have to assume that risk. And by taking a 30-day snapshot of what Bitcoin's doing, a savvy person can say, hey, I'll offer you this much Bitcoin. Market value is essentially this, but you're getting a 30-day value of Bitcoin, and just transfer the Bitcoin over. But most people don't have the ability to transfer more than 10,000 Bitcoin at a time. So daily, you have to transfer 10,000 Bitcoin until you reach 2 million. Now that's a big problem because you don't own the property yet. So you have to trust the seller as you're transferring that into their Bitcoin account that they're still going to sell you your property. And if not, you go through a huge lawsuit. Well, what if you decide to do a title search and now there's stuff on the title and you don't want to buy that house anymore and you've taken the last 2 months to transfer your Bitcoin? It's a huge problem. And that's why it's so valuable, because at the time of acceptance and we open escrow, the buyer can transfer the Bitcoin into our neutral trust account. We can stabilize the value and plan to pay them in US currency or USDC, a stable coin, right? If they want it to go into their crypto account, we don't have to pay them in Bitcoin. We would pay them in USDC stable coin. And from there, they can buy Bitcoin, Ethereum, Dodge, Shibu, whatever they want. But we're still going to pay off liens and debts at title.
So, I mean, your information is so esoteric, and it is, of course, accurate. But the fact is, you're such a, what's the word? The early adopter as a professional that the industry and Wall Street lags. It's going to take platforms such as Terramint to, at the very least, empower and educate others as to the opportunity. And at some point, it'll be a real alternative. And I think it's really hastened by the pandemic and by paper and by millennials that don't want to use our archaic process and they're doing everything on their phone. I remember about 10 years ago, a prospective tenant on an Airbnb of my own said, "Can I pay you in PayPal?" I said, "What's PayPal? I'm not going to take PayPal. That's crazy. What's PayPal?" Because it wasn't used like as it is today. So we're facing that.
launching an education series, and they can go to isauniversityonline.com and they can subscribe to the, what is tokenization course. In the next 45 days or so, we're going to offer some information out there to real estate agents on how they can guide buyers and sellers through making this decision. What anybody can do firsthand is go to Terramint.com. The very fact that we were an accepted company by Circle should prove that we are the company to work with. We follow the KYC laws, the anti-money laundering laws. We're backed by one of the biggest trusted crypto merchant accounts, that's out there, which is Circle. And, we're not out here to help people with tax evasion. We're not out here to help people manipulate the system or get something by. We want to help good people buy and sell real estate with cryptocurrency. We want to provide a safe place for buyers to buy real estate, whether it's tokenized real estate options or whether it's an actual piece of property. And we want to help the sellers get paid and on their way without the complex issues of, well, my Bitcoin keeps fluctuating, so how much do you really want? Or what do you mean I have to pay you for the next 60 days and just, trust you to give me your property? We solve those problems by that neutral environment. And now a real estate agent can still represent their seller in a transaction, and a real estate agent can still represent their buyer in a transaction, utilizing Terramint to facilitate the money transfer. And we're still going through the way that we always do business. And but then the buyer will get a recorded document on the blockchain. So speculatively speaking, in the future, they should be able to sell their piece of real estate as, by transferring their NFT, by transferring their token ownership, and that's futuristically speaking, because until there's more things recorded on the blockchain, until there's more awareness of how the blockchain has impacted our lives, we still want to rely on what we know and trust, and that's our local title companies.
Right. They'll serve now. Right now, they're the only authority, but I think soon there'll be a verification.
Yeah, absolutely. There's still a gray area on, if I own a piece of real estate as an NFT and somebody wants to file a lien against my property, or I take a loan against my property, how is that recorded? Right now, we have a system in place on how that's recorded. So I don't foresee us being able to buy and sell real estate without, seamlessly without the help of our title companies nationally for, a good 5 years, if not a decade. But the fact that they're already here, they can provide a clean transfer of ownership in any currency worldwide, and utilizing an LLC for ownership, I think is
well, at the very least, with blockchain transfers, they're going to at the very least have to partner. They can't stand alone any longer. So I don't think there'll ever be a replacement, but it'll certainly be a joint effort, shall we say?
Yeah, absolutely. And utilizing the blockchain technology and the power of it, the blockchain records all of the ownership transfers. So as we're buying and selling tokens and NFTs, the blockchain is recording all of that. And everybody that makes those purchases is going through the same, KYC, anti-money laundering, and the information on there can't be tampered with. That is the one space that cannot be, hacked into and changed or manipulated. Whereas, a lot of the stuff that we're doing right now can be. So I think it is a safer environment as well. Terramint.com, and we can help anybody right now that has a buyer and a seller that wants to use cryptocurrency, and we can help walk them through it. And it's not a problem at all. If we have a seller that wants to sell and accept cryptocurrency, we can facilitate that and list that as well. So some big things happening 45 to 90 days with bringing.
Well, I really appreciate it, Aleta, you giving us this information on a high level authority such as yourself. We've learned a lot, and I know that we should, and I'll work with you to make these opportunities and these platforms much more available and useful to agents everywhere. I look forward to our next opportunity.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Have a wonderful day.
You too. Thanks. Talk soon.